Peter Davies, CEO, Air Malta. I've been in aviation since I've been 7, so I landed my first aeroplane on the lap of my grandfather. So I've always been involved in aeroplanes and went from school, did a lot of flying, and then went into management. So aviation is in my blood from a very young age. Well, Air Malta, it's a national airline, it's government owned, it's got 10 aeroplanes. We have a big responsibility in bringing as many people into the wonderful country of Malta as possible. We're what we call a destination airline, so we're not a network, we're not a BA or a Lufthansa by any stretch of the imagination. So our responsibility is to make sure that there's a strategic conduit, if you like, between the island state of Malta in the middle of the Mediterranean and as many other places in the world as we possibly can and make money at the same time. To bring the company back into profitability, it's been losing money for a long time. Because it's government owned, there are very strict rules and regulations within the EU about state aid. So we're all meant to operate from a level playing field, which is fair enough. So therefore we had to justify to the Commission in Brussels that state aid should be allowed for Air Malta. We got that, and therefore we have to be very careful how we invest that money. So our objective is to bring the level of profitability in as quickly as possible. After that, the airline can then expand and we're released to the shackles of state aid. The marketplace is highly competitive and I think we have a discerning audience, obviously a huge amount of competition which I have no significant worry about. If anything, actually, I think the biggest competition to Air Malta is Air Malta. If we want to screw it up, we can do that quite comfortably if we take our eye off the ball. So really, I think the marketplace is responding well. The economy seems to be picking up a little bit. There seems to be more confidence. And holidays obviously are an important part of people's opportunities to do something different. So certainly we get feedback from our customers. They're wanting more, they want value for money and everything that an airline can provide. I think there's a significant sea change going on. I think it's fascinating from a global perspective. You've got the dominance or the increasing dominance of the Gulf carriers, significant capacity. There's not a place in the world other than the middle of the Pacific that you can't reach in one go from Dubai or from Abu Dhabi. So that is massively changing the way in which people like Lufthansa, Air France, British Airways are having to view the market, in my opinion. The American market seems to have consolidated well, back to making good profits and seems to be doing pretty well. European market, short haul, very confusing. Most of the bigger carriers lose money on short haul. A lot of point-to-point carriers, ourselves, Ryanair, Wizz and EasyJet are taking considerable slices of the market and they're making good money, although Ryanair have just given a profit warning. So massive sea change going on, and I think the legacy carriers, the network carriers, are really scratching their heads as to how they see themselves in 5 to 10 years' time. Within Europe, it's more from the civil servants and the EU Commission perspective. Things like single skies, the fact we have to speak to so many different air traffic control systems, whereas actually realistically you could electronically have one. We prefer to fly in straight lines. It saves us a huge amount of money. So it's a bureaucracy associated with the Commission in terms of they don't seem to recognise, they understand, but they don't necessarily recognise or give due credence to the importance of the airline industry. And it doesn't require much imagination to understand that the jet engine is probably the most significant piece of machinery that's been introduced in the last 50 years. And airlines have absolutely created a massive global market, aided and supported by technology. So I think that we're often underestimated, we're taken for granted. And I think to a certain extent that's our fault, not the market. I think as an airline industry, we have to speak up much louder for ourselves than we do. I think it's a capacity to fix things. I love fixing things. Obviously I like fixing things as a kid, I suppose. So turnaround situations, which is what I do in the airline business, I really thoroughly enjoy. And what I get a kick out of is the fact that you can take a bunch of people who otherwise up until that point were perhaps rudderless, didn't have responsibility or accountability. And I'm a great believer in human nature, and you give them the opportunities. My job is quite simple as a CEO, to create the right environment in which other people can work to the best of their ability. So I think you've got to provide vision, you've got to create that picture for people to be able to see and then to understand and then follow you. The critical thing is to pull people through, not push people through. Anyone can kick back sides, that doesn't require much intelligence. But in order to motivate and pull people towards you, completely different. And not enough managers do the latter. get yourself very fit, focus on what's happening, and just make sure that you don't look at the immediate problems, you look at the long-term strategies and futures. When we buy aeroplanes, it's not like buying a car, so you've got massive investments going into creating capacity. And understand the customer. It's very easy. If I take my iPhone out, it's assembled in China. I never saw that being made. I don't know how long it took them to put together, who did it, and what processes did they go through. But when you travel on my airline, you're in my factory. You are the product. You see everything that goes wrong. So therefore, psychologically, from a management point of view, there's a big difference between providing a service where, as a passenger, you're exposed to all the elements of the production line. Whereas if you're buying a car or an iPhone, you don't. You see that's in someone else's factory. So I think psychologically, managers have to realise they've got much bigger responsibilities, in my opinion, than they ever give due importance to. So I think there's a fantastic opportunity for young managers to really understand the customer's perspective and never become complacent. Never believe in your own marketing. The moment you do is the moment you become complacent. There's two destinations. One is Monument Valley in the United States. I just think that's a wonderfully peaceful Navajo reservation. They protect it along with the United States government. It's just a wonderful, serene place. And Dartmoor in England, where when I'm in the UK, I have a place down there. Very juxtaposition. What do? I play golf when I can. I love flying still. I do photography and look after my dogs and animals and horses and cows and all that sort of stuff.